It's loading here. Okay. Now we're live on YouTube. I will explain a few things about Talk and Talk before we start. As you know, we are a conversation platform where I can come here and talk in a lot of languages. Today we're speaking in English about free speech. So let's start with the first one. Question number 1. How has the concept of free speech influenced your personal beliefs and values? So like how it influenced you? How do you define what you're going to say or not? So let's see. Jonas, let's start with you. How has the concept of free speech influenced your personal beliefs and values?
I think that my family is religious, so I could go to a different path, and I cannot. You cannot take that a different approach than what you are told, without anyone else express themselves and show that there is another path, there is another way. So I think it is a thing that influenced me.
Perfect. Yeah, usually values are really close to religion, the way we were like raised, right? So that's it. If they are good, that's the best thing on the world, right? Perfect. And you, Aline, how has the concept of free speech influenced your personal beliefs and values?
I don't know. I think it's a difficult question. I think many things in your life help us to create our ideas about something. I think, of course, religions in my life, it was important, my family, my friends, the place when I grew. So I think that things created my personality, but of course I think free speech, it's important, but we need to have conscious about some important themes for the other cultures, for example.
That's true. I guess the most difficult part is that the other cultures, because sometimes we don't even know. Of course, in that case that we saw, the guys knew the situation, but sometimes we don't even know well the other culture, right? And we need to know.
Yes, when you travel for the other countries, there are a lot of things you can do or talk about, and it's a taboo or something wrong, and it's difficult to know about all the rules around the world.
That's true. Perfect. And you, Rebecca, how has the concept of free speech influenced your personal beliefs and values?
Well, first I agree with you guys about the free speech. Also, I think to me it's a right. It makes me a person, a human that can share what I believe, what I think. Also listen what the other people believe. But free speech involves to be careful, because we need to understand about what we are saying, and it's not just I guess. We need to try understand the other side, because our free speech needs to be something I think important, not just something that can offend other person. We don't have this right to offend other persons, other culture, other religion, and also free speech. I think, well, to me, it's the most thing important in a democracy, in a society that has democracy.
That's true. Perfect. Yeah, I guess since we are kids, we hear this sentence from our mothers, like, your right ends when the others begin. Né? Seu direito acaba quando o outro começa. We always hear that.
Yes.
And I guess that free speech is inside of that, right? Because like, we can say whatever we want, but we can't offend other people, right? So I agree with you. Perfect. Let's go to question number 2. Can you recall a specific moment in your life when you exercised your right to free speech? What was the outcome? So like, you knew you had this right of free speech, and then you said something about that, but you needed to like, it was a difficult situation, a specific moment when you exercised this right of free speech. I remember, it's just an example, okay? But when I was in school, I studied in a Catholic school. I was in high school, and we needed to present, to do a presentation about any topic that we want. And then I had a lot of friends who chose some philosophers. They were politics philosophers, and I personally didn't like those thoughts about them, and I chose a philosopher that I like. But then the school said the philosopher that I like, I couldn't talk about him because it was against the rules of the school. But they could. And then it was a time that I practiced my free speech. I'm working, so I can't tell what philosopher it is. But basically, it was it. They could talk about their point of view, and I couldn't. So I exercised my free speech. And that was a case. Anyway, Aline, can you recall a specific moment in your life when you exercised your right to free speech?
Oh, I really can't remember anyone now. Can we start with the other people when I
Yes,
thinking about?
I'll go back to you if you remember. Okay. And you, Rebecca, can you recall a specific moment in your life when you exercised that?
I don't remember a story exactly, but I know that I think a lot of time I'm using this right to my free speech when I share my opinion. When I disagree in an institution also about some rule that I think it's against and what I think is right. But I don't have a story. I think it's in my daily life I try to that I do that when I can. It's different. Sometimes in our work environment we can't to do it so much, but when it's possible, when I'm in environment that allow or even when don't allow, but I think I need to take the risk. I try to do that, but I don't have a story to share. I don't remember right now.
Not a specific moment, but to try to apply it in your daily life, right?
Yes.
Perfect. And you, Jonas, can you recall a specific moment in your life when you exercised your free speech?
I cannot recall. I don't think I use the way you think about using your free speech. I have my opinions. I can say that my opinions to other people, but I am respectful, so I know when I don't should talk. And even if there's something I should talk about, so I go to a restaurant, the service is bad or something like that. I could make a scene. It's gonna maybe be bad for other people that is enjoying their meal. So I just don't express myself in that way. I express myself with action in that case, and I never come back, or the service, 10% of service I don't pay, something like that. So I know I am not much of talking about. I like to act more, and I don't like to disrespect anyone. Or even if in the case of the restaurant, the service should be talked about. I should express to them, but I should not involve everyone in the restaurant in my opinion.
Yeah. I get your point because I personally do the same thing. When I am in a restaurant I didn't like, I just stay quiet and that's it. I live my life and I don't pay the 10% that we usually need to pay, right? That's what I do because I feel uncomfortable. I just like you said, I feel like I will put everybody in an uncomfortable situation. So just stay quiet, live your life, and that's it. Perfect. Aline, could you remember something?
Yes, I recently situation in my last job. I couldn't talk about politicians, for example, mainly on LinkedIn, because of course they didn't want to link my opinion with their opinion, but I used the other social media to talk about my opinion, because I think it's important defending my point of view from some situations, about politicians, about my values. So I used the other platforms to talk about that theme.
Yeah. Usually companies, they don't like when we talk about politics.
No.
Thing. Yeah, they don't like. But I guess like I always discuss that in my job. Like we can use some people, they like to use LinkedIn as an Instagram and Instagram as a LinkedIn, and then like put everything on Instagram and live your life. That's it, because nobody can blame you about Instagram. So that's it. So let's go to question number 3. In what ways do you think free speech contributes to a healthy and diverse society? Because indeed, to hear others' opinion, I guess it contributes. So let's see, what do you think about it? Rebecca, in what ways do you think free speech contributes to a healthy and diverse society?
I think free speech allows us to understand better the society that we live. I think also our jobs improve. Every job, for example, if you made a build, if you write a text, or if you are creating a picture, doesn't matter. I think it makes us to have a inclusion view. For example, if I build if someone is an architect, it's a classic example of that, and he understands the other opinions, other situations. It has to do with the free speech, because as much as we learn other perspective, it made our view different, and of course our job will be different. I think it's the first thing that improving in the society and influence the laws, the debates about the way that we live. Also, I don't see any field that can be out of the benefits of a free speech.
Perfect. Yeah, there are a lot of benefits, right? If we know how to use it, there are a lot of benefits. Perfect. And you, Jonas, in what ways do you think free speech contributes to a healthy and diverse society?
I think the word diversity is the key. You cannot have a diversity society or diversity thinking, diversity expressions without free speech, because everyone has to say the way the society wants. So you cannot have diversity without free speech. Mental health is something that from for now, in today's time, it's really important. So we are more and more coming to have sometimes more problems, more mental problems than physical and biological problems. And I think that have the option to express yourself and live your life the way you want and not the way other people think you should, helps a lot in your mental health.
Mm-hmm. That's true. You can do the things that you want and say the things that you want, and you will feel better. And maybe others will feel better too. They can see someone agree with them, right? So that's a nice life. I guess the way you begin what you said about diverse is the key. I totally agree with you. If the word was the same, it would be so boring, right? So we need to have diversity in our life. That's true. Anyway, Aline, in what ways do you think free speech contributes to a healthy and diverse society?
I think, in fact, I think all the topics it is important to discuss or argue about, and I think it's important when we listen to other opinions. It contributes with how can I say, open your mind about some themes. So if you talk about some theme, main taboos, like I don't know how can I can I don't know, I have no example now, but when we talk about all the topics, all the theme, probably we grow with society. Of course, we need to talk in a polite way, because it's important to consider all the other opinion. But I think all topics it's important. Main public politicians, I think it's the most important them to talk about.
That's true. I agree with you too. Because like mostly in schools, I guess that's where everything begins. I think they should talk about everything there, because kids, they with the internet, they will learn things in the internet. So they should learn at school to learn better and know what's happening with the world. So I think everybody should talk about the problems that we have in our society and talk about everything, about diversity, because the world is different, right? So we need to talk about that. I totally agree with you. So let's go to question number 4. Have you ever encountered a situation where someone's exercise of free speech made you question your own beliefs? How did you respond? I created this question because like one of this video that I showed you about this situation, like I am in favor of free speech, but I'm not in favor of that free speech that you can like harm others' religion. So I think it's important for us to know how to manage that, right? You can say whatever you want, but you need to respect others. So I guess that's something that made me question my own beliefs about free speech. And you, Jonas, have you ever encountered a situation where someone's exercise of free speech made you question your own beliefs?
My own beliefs, I think in that way of, should this person be allowed to speak the way he is speaking, is the most common for me. You have something like flat earth. He's not harming anyone directly, but if anyone try to, it's a gateway to another part of conspiracy that can harm. So vaccinates. So if you start to believe in that, and then you start to believe about the problems with vaccines. I think it's really difficult to say. He should not be allowed to say that. But at the same time, it's a problem if you allow him. It's really a difficult topic to go to. There's sometimes about burning books, burning Bibles. This is no doubt you should not do that. But there is some topics that takes you to that path, and you should not. You will say, should you let that person do that or not? It's difficult in that beginning of the free speech.
Yeah, that's a really complicated topic, because like the guy who is saying something, he, just like I said, he's not harming anyone, right? But maybe a crazy person likes that guy and do the same thing. We had a problem, I guess. I don't know if you know, I will say it's a polemic, but I will say either way. There is a pastor from a church called André Valadão. I don't know if you heard of him. but he's a famous polemicist on the internet. Ele só fala polêmica na internet. And then we were on Pride Month last month, né? Mês do orgulho, né? And then he said that it was not right for them to have gays in church, and God would kill all of them. And he said that in the middle of a church. And then he was fined. Ele foi multado in like a huge amount of money, but he didn't do nothing. He just said it, and he was fined. So like he shouldn't say those things, but he didn't harm no one physically. So a lot of people were defending him because of that. He's not harming anyone, but he's saying things that if they were done, it would be a crime. So someone who listens to it, maybe someone who believes, would do that. So we don't know. And it's a really complicated situation, but mostly with people who have followers, né? Like you said, né? It's really complicated. And you, Aline, have you ever encountered a situation where someone's exercise of free speech made you question your own beliefs?
Oh my God, all the time in my family group on WhatsApp. I think, I don't know, there's a lot of topics or theme I have a specific opinion. I try to understand the other opinion, but of course I always argue about my point of view. I think it's important, but it's not easy argue with some themes with I don't know how can I say that, but people who are close-minded, with are people who doesn't want to listen to what are you saying about that theme. So I think it's important to talk about, but I think it's important we listen each other. I think it's important hear the other opinion, and of course we want to our opinion here too. So I think it's a lot of topics, and I don't know talk about specific one, but in the last 4 years, 5 years, I think the vaccine, politicians, and I don't know, maybe all the things, it's controversial for me.
Yeah, I guess the world is living a difficult time, right? It's totally divided. Some people believe in a lot of things, and others believe in a lot of things. Some believe in nothing, and then it's complicated because we are really divided. So we should have a solution for that. I don't know what, but I think someone should solve this problem. I don't like this division that we have nowadays. And Rebecca, have you ever encountered a situation where someone's exercise of free speech made you question your own beliefs?
Yes, always. I'm always facing these situations, and to me, it's happened often when I find someone that living in a reality very different of mine. I think in this case it happened in a deep way, especially if it's someone from other side of the world. I think other cultures especially, and I see that most of time we understand why something is something, but ignore the feeling, because in other cultures there's feeling in what they do. They grew in a way and have feeling with their cultures, and sometimes seems different, is strange to us, and it's easier to given in and say something that is wrong or right, but we ignore the rest, the feeling in the cultures and the other details. Then to me, a lot of time I face this situation also here in Brazil, that our country is very diversified, something like that. And in our country, in our state, near São Paulo, there's a lot of people from different states of Brazil, and every state of Brazil seems as other country too. They are so different. And then I think always about politicians. People depend of the age, also depend of the profile. People always saying things that make me rethink about what I was saying.
Yeah. We hear so many things that
Yes.
we usually change our minds like 3-4 times a day about one topic, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of information, and then we don't know who is right, who is wrong. It's so many things to deal, and we get lost, right?
The science changed all the time. So why we can't change our minds or our opinion?
Yes.
That's true. That's true. I agree with you. Perfect, girls. So, guys, né? So let's go to question number 5. Okay. How would you define the boundaries of free speech in relation to protecting individuals from hate speech or discrimination? So boundaries are like limitations, né? How would you define the boundaries of free speech in relation to protecting individuals from hate speech and hate speech and discrimination, same thing as Portuguese, okay? So let's see. Who started last was Jonas. So Aline, how would you define the boundaries of free speech?
I think it's again a difficult topic, because I don't know if it's possible define some boundaries for all the topics, all things, because we are multicultural, plural in like a society. So I think it's important we respect the other peoples, the other cultures, the other religions. So sometimes, I don't know, like in that case on the video, if you say something, it was offensive for the other culture, oh, say sorry, I didn't know. So think about and change your mind to think more when we will speak about this theme again. So I think it's I don't know if it's possible to limit it or create some boundaries about the themes, but I think it's important to respect each other.
Perfect. That's true. It's hard to imagine like a line for that, what you can say or not, but respect is the basic. That's true. I agree with you. And you, Rebecca, how would you define the boundaries of free speech in relation to protecting individuals from hate speech or discrimination?
I think it depends the situation. For example, if it's a common person, we live in a world with the information. We have a lot of information, but it don't how can I say, don't get, não chega always in everyone. Even in our country, we see that the education is very different. It's very problematic. So I think it depends of the situation. If it's a public person or a person that is getting an audience with a hate speech, it can be dangerous because this person can incentivate a violence. So I think this person needs to have some responsibility with the law. We need to have a law that need to prevent this kind of situation. I think it's not a thing that can happen, but to me it depends. I think when someone is has using a space of, for example, social media to talk with other people with a hate speech, I think in this case it need to have a boundary in this situation, in those situations.
Perfect. That's true. I agree with you. And we are having a lot of problems about that, like nowadays with these free speech, because people are really divided as well to like, free speech, so I can say whatever I want. No, it's not like that, right? So it's really complicated. And I've seen a lot. Sorry.
This pastor that you said, for example,
you know him?
No, but I understood the story, but I don't know him.
Yeah, I lucky you. I didn't want to know him too, but this happens a lot. Not only with him, but like in YouTube. Recently, we had a problem with, I don't know if you know this guy too, but it's a streamer. He's a streamer called Monarch. He was from Flow, and then he was expelled from YouTube. He can't be there anymore. So he changed the platform because he said terrible things, and then he said, it's free speech, but it's not. He can't say those things, mostly because he has an audience, right? So like, imagine what can people who love Monarch can do because of that. So it's complicated, the situation.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have consciousness about that team, specifically about monarchy. And of course, he doesn't change your mind or understood your wrong or mistake. So his mistake. So of course, I think in that case or the other case, like that pastor, the people need to be punished about that kind of things, because it's a crime. It's not free speech, it's a crime.
That's true. It crosses the line of respect, right? It's above that. And Jonas, how would you define the boundaries of free speech in relation to protecting individuals from hate speech or discrimination?
I was starting to, I would start talking about respect. It's a big column to support free speech. You need to have respect. But after what Rebecca said, responsibility is a big one also. So you can say something if you are alone with a friend, but if you have an audience, it's really, you need to have a responsibility to what you say. So something, it will be harmful or not, depend of your reach.
That's true. And I guess you need to be really careful in how you're going to say the things that you want to say, because since you're being like streamed, everybody can see you. You need to be really careful because people can understand in a lot of ways. And it's really easy to be misunderstood. Né? É muito fácil você não ser compreendido do jeito que você quer. So people need to have this responsibility and be careful. It's really important to be careful.
I think a lot of people today does that on purpose. They know what they are doing, and they know they will be misunderstood.
Yeah,
Misunderstood.
that's true. Because calls attention, right? If you say something like that, it calls a lot of attention. So maybe, for example, we mentioned this case of Monarch. Maybe nobody knew Monarch before, and now everybody knows who is him. I don't know if everyone here knows, but it's a guy who said terrible things. So like, it's polemic and it calls attention. People want attention. So that's it. Terrible, but it's true. So let's go to question number 6. Can you describe a time when you felt conflicted about supporting free speech due to the potential harm it could cause to certain groups or individuals? It's similar to the question above. Like, if you felt conflicted, I support free speech, but not every time. So you felt conflicted about that because it can harm other people. So if you can describe a time when you felt that, like you saw a situation and you felt free speech, in that case, it's a problem.
Gil, sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, it's question number 6. Can you describe a time when you felt conflicted about supporting free speech due to the potential harm it could cause to certain groups or individuals? Like, I created a really complicated question. I will like summarize it. Like, if you saw a situation and then you thought, free speech is not that good as I thought. We need to have it, but not in that way. So like you felt conflicted, sentiu conflito entre o que você acreditava. For example, I felt that when I saw those cases. So you need to mention other cases that you saw that and you felt this conflict. Let's see if you remember some. Rebecca, can you describe a time when you felt that?
Yes, I think, for example, it's more I think about rights. When I remember most of cases that people say that something don't exist. No, it don't exist. We are equal. No problem. We have the same salary, for example, about women and men. Or when they think that someone don't need to have a right about something. And but so many cases. I don't remember right now a famous case because we have so much every day. Every day people are discussing about these topics, about someone saying that something is not true, which you don't have, and other person is saying, no, it's true, we have a lot of cases, and you need to listen. But again, I don't remember specific famous story. If I remember, I will share it with you guys.
Perfect. Okay. And you, Jonas, can you describe a time when you felt that?
Yes, the big one today for me is about transgender people in sports. It's a really difficult topic because in one side we have a woman competing in the sport, and they should have the right to talk about. And in some cases, they have a really good point. On the other side, you have a small group of people that it's not something they chose. It's not something they do that because they like. It's because it's the way it is. So, but it's a conflict. You are harming both of them independent of the way you think about.
Mhm.
So it is a big point today for me about free speech. And if you try to put your opinion, there is a lot of human that talk about that in sport, and the first thing is to treat that as an attack against transgender people. But I think both sides should try to understand each other to try to a common ground to solve the problem. This is a big one today for
One. I was reading about that today before this immersion starts. I don't know if it's something that is trending, but I saw on Twitter a thread talking about it because it was about Tiffany, that player that we have in Brazil's team. And I was reading about that, and then I thought, oh, he's talking about that. I was reading right now, but that's really a conflict. But there's been a lot of studies about that. It took a long time for them to discover. So it's a complicated topic because a lot of people think they are harming. So they say things. There are some people that say things to harm the trans community, and there are people who say things and don't know that they are harming the trans community, right? There are these two types, né? Tem duas situações. Quem quer falar mal e quem fala sem querer, né? So it's a really complicated topic, but it happens. And Aline, can you describe a time when you felt conflicted about that and felt this way?
Yeah, in fact, that that Jonas talked about, it's pretty confusing for me because the points he showed it's what I think about, because it's difficult, it's hard to decide about this thing, because of course we can respect the transgenders in your mind, in your real situation when he felt about our bodies, about their bodies, but you have different hormones for women and for men. So that kind of things can change your performance on sports. So I think that's something I don't know. I don't have certainly opinion about that, so it's conflicted for me. But of course, I need the transgender is how can I say direito? I can
Right.
The transgender rights needs to respect it, but it's pretty conflicted.
Yeah. This is a topic that a lot of people talk about, and some people like they try to explain their point of view not like that, like with hormones and those things. No, they offense. They like to offend other people, and it's not like that. Both sides have some valid points, so they need to see if they can play together or not. So I leave to the science, just like I said with the vaccines. I let this with the science. Let them see if it's right or not. So guys, let's go to question number 7, because we still have time for one more. So what role do you believe social media platforms should play in regulating free speech? Should there be any limitation or restrictions? Because, for example, Instagram and Facebook, they have some restrictions. Like you can't post things that harm other people. They show like a thing and say, this is offensive content. But some social media don't. For example, Twitter. Twitter, you can say whatever you want about anything. You can commit a lot of crimes. Crazy. So let's see what you think. Please be fast because we need to finish the immersion. So let's go. Let's start with... No, quem começou a outra? I forgot. Who started the last one? It was... Rebecca, right? For Rebecca.
Yes.
So Jonas, start this one. Jonas, what role do you believe social media platforms should play in regulating free speech?
It's complicated. You should not regulate that in social media. They have responsibilities, but also they are not obliged to obey for any side. They have the right to take someone off the platform the way they want, how they want. It's a private company, so it's really difficult to have this type of discussion because you are not talking about a public organization. Maybe you should have a public site for that, but it's really difficult. I don't think social media should be responsible if they restrict your free of speech.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably
nice. Yeah, I guess like the problem is if they know what's happening and they don't ban it, like because they know their users, right? And then they have all of our data, right? So I guess like they know who's using that, and I think I agree with that. Like if they don't do nothing, then it's a problem. But they are not blamed if they take you out of the social media because you're not pleasing them. So just be removed.
if it's some legal case, they have already responsibility. In the minute they know about that, so if you talk about to YouTube and say this video is offensive and they don't do nothing, they are complicit. So they will respond in the tribunal with the authors also. So you already have that. And if you limit the restriction, so it's a video. YouTube block the video. But you say, no, it's just free speech. So the line, they have to decide when to ban, when to not ban. It's really difficult. And if they go to one side, everyone go to there's no way to win. Just
Yeah. It's a real complicated situation, right? It's a lot of things to think about. It's real difficult. And they are even discussing that. I guess there is a law or something like that that is coming up, and they are discussing that like for real in the law. So it's a crazy thing. Anyway, Aline, what role do you believe social media platforms should play in regulating free speech?
I think it's important some rules in social media, like banned hate speech, pornography, or all things. It will be dangerous for the society, for us, like a society. So I don't completely agree with Jonas in that case, because I think that company, that big companies that we call big techs, they have technology enough algorithms to moderate that kind of thing. So 2 weeks ago, I don't know, but I think it's 2 weeks ago, for example, Discord, they identify a lot of communities who talk about pornography or incentivized violence with with kids. So I think it's important that big techs identify that community, identify that people, and burn it that people, because they are dangerous for us like a society.
I saw this news on Fantástico about Discord.
Yeah.
It was a serious case, and Discord is a real complicated social media because you create a group. It's like a WhatsApp group. Like you create a group and they don't know nothing about what's happening there. And just like WhatsApp has these cripto, sei lá o que das contas, as mensagens são criptografadas, ponta a ponta. Então, Discord has those things too. So like it's hard for them to know what's happening. But once they know, the problem is even huge. This one was completely insane. What I saw, it was crazy. They should have this responsibility too. And Rebecca, what role do you believe social media platforms should play in regulating free speech?
I think social media would think in building a safe place to the users. And today we see that when they try to do something, it's because the law of the country, some countries, they put pressure. They don't do things just because they want to be safe. It's the pressure, the society putting pressure on the companies, then they try to do something. Also, social media is Facebook, Instagram. I think they would at least try to find a way to incentivize us to make denunciations easy, because we have written on those social medias, but it's so bureaucratical that most of users don't know how to use. And I think they has, of course, they have a responsibility because they are just think about money, and the algorithm they works in a way that prioritize the engagement, the audience in a video or in a post, and they don't. I don't see so much effort to try avoid that the audience, how can I say, these videos that the algorithms show to us, because a lot of people are seeing there's too much view. Most of hate speech are there. Would be a way to avoid it and don't show it too much. So a moderation. But it's delicate, but also I don't see so much interest of the big companies, and just when the society complains too much about.
Perfect. That's true. They only do something when a lot of people is complaining, right? A lot of people are complaining. That's true. Perfect. So guys, because of our time,